Hello and welcome back to another Warhammer 3 video we have for you today. Big news, CA has just announced every new unit will be getting the Tides of Torment DLC, as well as alongside it releasing a short trailer giving us a sneak peek at the new factions as well as their mechanics. And with all that said, let's dive into the video. First up, like always, the High Elves with Sea Lord Aslan as a legendary lord, as well as the legendary hero being Caradrian, the captain of Phoenix Guard. Fun fact about him, he took a vow of silence, so don't expect too much dialogue from him. The generic lord is going to be the Sea Helm, carrying a trident and shield, adding even more to the ocean theme. Unlike the generic hero, which is just going to be a mist mage, giving the High Elves access to new magic called the Lore of Mist. Their melee infantry is going to be the ship's company. They were the unit in the background with the sword and shield in the previous trailers, and they're going to be very similar to Bleak Swords. The monstrous infantry unit is going to be the Oceanids, which like the rest we got a better look at in the trailer. Very similar to the next monster unit, the Sea Elemental, a giant pillar of water similar to the ethereal units. The other monster unit is going to be the Mareworm, being the big centerpiece for the roster. While the last unit is going to be the Lothern Skycutters, having two variants, one with the bows and the other going to be a bolt thrower. There is also 3 regiments right now, but we can only confirm one, and that's going to be the one-eyed Mareworm called Salak. And before we get into his unique mechanics, I am going to throw up his description. Unlike the other two, it does not say exactly where he starts, but just assume he's going to start near Altheron because he's a Horde faction. His first unique mechanic is called Dragon Ship Fleets. The Sea Patrol does not develop any settlements traditionally, instead they command dragon ships. Vast self-sufficient vessels with infrastructure, economy, and military buildings. They support nearby friendly fleets and launch major assaults, as well as Aslan begins with 1 dragon ship but can add more to his campaign as it expands. So that's pretty big. Basically think of the Dark Elf mechanic with their black arcs, so that's pretty cool. It does, he is a Horde faction himself, so I assume he can still recruit on his own, but he can get abilities from the dragon ship. And then his second unique mechanic is the Assur Occupation. Aslan transfers most conquered settlements to other high elf factions, but retains limited building rights. He can develop sea patrols, outposts to strengthen naval forces or establish elven colonies at key locations, both generating resources. So that's pretty cool. So I really like that style of play. You can kind of go around, don't have to worry about too many settlements, and you can give it to your friendly faction so they can grow a bit stronger and fight back. Pretty neat. And then thirdly, we have the unique mechanic Assur Domination. Outpost grants knowledge that fuels upgrades for outposts, colonies, and dragon ships. Dedicating outposts to major elven factions lack aid from their leaders, including elite units and buffs. That's super exciting. I'm very interested in what elite units mean and maybe their buffs. Maybe we get like banners or whatnot. But yeah, very excited. I like all 3 of these. It definitely looks like they all coincide a lot, and that doesn't even include the new mechanic. As we know, the elves will be getting for free for everybody in 7.0, so big fan of this. I did not expect him to be a Horde faction, but this is a very pleasant surprise. As a high elf player, I think they did a good job at filling out the rest of the roster, and I really do enjoy all the monster units they added, giving the high elves a lot more versatility. Hopefully other factions will be able to use the ocean themed units like the Vampire Coast. Can't wait to try them all out, and especially the new mechanics with the quotation mark black arcs. Next up is Slaanesh, with our legendary lord being Daikala the Denied One. The FLC lord for this DLC is also for the same faction, and that would be the Mask of Slaanesh, a never-ending dancing demon, with the trailer giving us even a better look at them. Then we have the legendary hero Stakar, being a very strong Chaos Warrior and was part of the dreaded End Times. The generic lord is the Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Slaanesh. Sadly, we don't know exactly what they look like, but we are going to get a preview later this month. Now, Slaanesh actually has 2 generic heroes, which I do believe is a first. Correct me if I'm wrong down below. The first one is the Druki Anointed. We don't know much about them, but safe to assume they're strong in melee. The second hero is the Exalted hero of Slaanesh, having a 3rd arm that's a crab hand. I did not expect that, but it does seem pretty cool for a hero. Then we're on to the infamous Pleasure Seekers, the most Slaanesh looking unit out of the whole roster. Their melee infantry is the Slangors. Sadly, they don't have javelins. Instead, they have dual wield with anti-infantry. Very similar to the next unit as well, the Devotees of Slaanesh. They are Dark Elves with dual wield as well, having a crossbow variant. Hopefully, they're different from the Slangors enough to justify them having the same purpose. Their monsters infantry is the Champions of Slaanesh, being a fast-moving unit having very similar features to Daikala herself. And the last unit for them is going to be the Praeton, a flying monster unit, really helping out Slaanesh since they only had 1 flying unit before this. Hopefully combined with the Devotees of Slaanesh with their crossbows, help take care of any thunder barges you come across as Slaanesh. They also have 3 regiments renowned, but we don't know what they are just yet, as well as kind of being odd that they don't have a big centerpiece unit besides the Praeton, but overall I like these units that they chose. And just like Sea Lord Aslan, I'm going to throw up her description for you to read if you like, and it does show her start position. It's going to be the southern part of Cathay and Cathay Hinterlands. And now we're going to break into her mechanics. First one is Pillars of Cruelty. Captured settlements convert into Thrall Camp, generates thralls and resources through productivity, wanes as they deplete. Tormentor's Hold enables recruitment, infrastructure, and defense. Pleasure Palace, major settlement option requiring thralls but granting advanced recruitment and the economy buildings. So this very much sounds like the Chaos Wars, which sounds pretty cool. I didn't really expect this through Slaanesh, but I'm also not a big lore guy. So that seems pretty interesting. Hopefully their settlements are very, have a lot more variety to them. And then secondly is unique mechanic is Decadence. Decala's actions raise Decadence, expanding pleasure palaces and unlocking powers, benefits, Slaanesh boons, temporary buffs, corruption of an enemy units before battle, demonic attrition for instantly recruitable demons. She may also sacrifice thralls for the praise of Slaanesh and area damage ability, summoning enhanced spawns of Slaanesh. So that's pretty cool right there. So it kind of seems this is more of a passive thing. So as you kind of use the other mechanics that are connected to this, it kind of builds up. Summoning recruitable demons and getting the spawn of Slaanesh, that seems pretty interesting. And then lastly, her last unique mechanic is Tormentor's Tributes. Through Decadence, they call it select powerful rewards, marks of vindicate. I'm not going to try that. Temporary battle buffs. Again, I'm not going to try that. Unique ancillaries, exquisite spoils, rituals, the campaign benefits. Seem very cool, so it's tied to Decadence, so these are kind of more of the rewards you get. Pretty interesting. I am a lot more interested in the Pillars of Cruelty, and during the Thrall Camp and the Pleasure Palaces kind of seem. So one's making money and one's making a bunch of resources. Very interested to see. Hopefully they work in game well. I don't play Slaanesh much, but this DLC definitely seems really fun, and Dekala sounds interesting. Just hoping like other DLCs in the past, it will get me to really like a faction. I didn't play that often. Last up is Norska, and their legendary lord is Sail the Faithless. The legendary hero as well is Borg the Bearstruck, a werebear who leads the regiment renowned of Bearmen of Ursula. The generic lord is the Great Shaman Sorcerer. We don't have any footage of this unit either, but it's a safe bet they'll look very similar to the hero counterpart. The generic hero is the Fimir Noble. Sadly, he's the only Fimir in the whole DLC. Kinda shocking, the Norskan DLC only has one, but then again, there's a lot they had to cover. Onto their melee infantry units, the Marauder Bearmen. Not to be confused with the regiment renowned Bearmen of Ursula. They have about two variants, one axe and shield and the other great weapons. This next unit we also don't have any in-game looks for or concept art, and that is going to be the Kurgan Horsemen, with having about two variants, one dual weapons and the other great weapons as well, very similar to the Bearmen. Now unlike Slaanesh, Norska gets 4 monster units. We have a Cursed Etten, a two-headed giant that looks very different from any giant in the game, as well as having an upgraded version called the Cursed Etten Rune Caller. Having magical abilities, I thought last video they were going to be the Regiment Renowned, but I'm glad they aren't. They're just an upgraded version of the Cursed Etten. The Chimera is the new flying unit for Norska, sporting 3 heads and can even spit flames while taking out the backline. The last unit for Norska is the Dreadmaw, a serpent-like creature that has a ranged attack as well as 0 speed, so I'm going to assume that it can burrow underground from an ability, giving Norska some crazy versatility in their units. And unlike the previous 2 factions, they'll have 4 regiments of renown, and one will definitely be the Bearmen of Ursula. And just like the previous 2, I'm going to throw up Sail's description, so you're welcome to read it. He actually starts in a new 4-region province of Mountain's End. We don't know exactly where it's going to be, but most likely super northern Chaos Waste, where kind of Tamarkan and all the Chaos Dwarves are at. And now we're going to get into his unique mechanics. That the first one is manipulations. A master schemer, Sail uses an array of manipulations to weaken his enemies by disrupting the logistics of their armies, throwing their settlements in disarray, and even directly whispering lies that warp and sever their diplomatic ties with friends and neighbors. Even his own forces are subject to the machinations of the Twisted Seer of the Waste in their march to victory and doom. Growing in power unlocks an additional manipulations, ever more potent and treacherous, but relying on them is equally as treacherous. Too many manipulations in a short amount of time span will inevitably attract dark, malevolent attention that Sail needs to navigate around, or else he'll suffer his transgressions. So this sounds like you can get some really strong buffs and kind of do some like changeling kind of mechanics, kind of be sneaky. But there's a big downside if you do them too much or, too many in 5 turns, kind of limit you. And then his second one is Dark Ritual. Ever thirsty to magnify the sorcerer's strength, Sail strives to enact a great ritual. To do this, he must construct chaos altars, allowing him to channel great arcane power. Through interacting rituals, he'll face many battles, events, and dilemmas in his quest for supreme power, including his greatest challenge if he is to claim the ultimate prize. That seems super vague, but it does sound pretty cool. We get a little snippet of it in the trailer we're about to check out, but definitely seems cool. He kind of seems like the changeling of Norska, but we'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully these buffs kind of make Norska very interesting as a DLC, but again, we'll just have to wait and see. The Norskan DLC has been a long time coming, so I'm glad we got a decent amount of interesting units and the mechanics for sale alongside all the changes to Norska, hopefully making them able to keep up with the rest of their factions. Very excited to see what they do. Before I break down the trailer and go into some of the mechanics they showed us, I am actually going to let it play for those who haven't seen it just yet.
Decadence, duty, deception.
Could I beat a sea elemental in a fight? It's a sea elemental.
So that was the trailer. Very, very nice. Kind of a rehash of the trailer they'd already shown us. But what's most important is some of these mechanics they'd shown off. So they do, before we get into that, we are going to look at their unit cards real quick. So yeah. So this is Sea Lord Aslan. He is the Master of Miss. Given 100% range, 25% armor piercing, same thing as missile damage, and reload plus 20, as well as stalk and snipe for affected allies in range. Pretty good. You can most likely upgrade it as well. And if we go to Draca, she is the Whirlwind of Pleasure, so it's like a Vortex ability, seems pretty good. Not going to be good against single combatants, which is quite standard for that ability. And sadly, if we go to Sail the Faithless, Dreadmaw, who has been shown in the trailers, is sadly a wind ability, but he does get 3 uses. Most likely he can be upgraded, but then again, I'm not a big lore guy, so let me know down below how that works. And then as we get past this, we also get, a little sneak peek of the Mask, the Legendary Lord. And then their mechanic is pretty good. Kind of what I assumed in my last video, it'd be kind of centered around their dancing mechanic and how much they do it. Kind of cool, looks like as the more points you get, it kind of unlocks it all. And then we move on to Sail the Faithless down here. Kind of already similar to what they have already, but I guess a little more expanded and kind of centered around his campaign. And then we have Sea Lord Aslan, as you can tell. For some reason, they're moved around a little bit, so I believe that's just you giving them territory. So they're not like, their Legendary Lord isn't actually there. Like Emmerich, he's still, across the world still. Pretty exciting though. We don't get to see too much of each of them. Just kind of, your standard, like right here, gaining more Phoenix King favor and movement range and speed. So yeah, kind of cool, kind of interesting. Nothing too crazy. Again, we got reinforcement range and weapon ally strength. Kind of interesting. Very excited. I like the trailer a lot. Kind of weird they did a rehash one, but it's a welcomed one. I think for the most part, they did a good job with the DLC. I can't wait to try them all out on December 4th. Let me know down below what your favorite unit was or any lore tidbits you might want to share. And we're going to get more info in the coming days. So on the 11th, 12th, and 13th, we'll get the High Elf info. And then, the next week and so forth, we'll get the rest. That's going to be it for the video. Thank you so much for watching it. I really appreciate it. Like and subscribe. It really does help the channel out. And I will see you guys in the next one.